Hi, everyone. My name is Simone, and welcome to episode 8 of Art Like Everything Else, the podcast. Alrighty. Hi, everybody. So let's go ahead and jump right into our opening segment. This week, we have a tweet from Twitter user Shaw Tired. The tweet reads as follows. Anti-intellectualism got a grip on this country. Nothing is deep. Critical thinkers are the problem. Research is fake. History is irrelevant. Everything is jokes, to the point where fascists can get the highest seat in the land if they're entertaining enough. It's bleak out here. End quote. Now, I thought this was a really good quote. It definitely applies even today. Just in case you hadn't heard the term anti-intellectualism before, I'm going to give you a quick little definition. So, anti-intellectualism is a sentiment of hostility towards or mistrust of intellectuals and intellectual pursuits. So, this can look a few different ways. Oftentimes, it shows up as an aversion to thinking deeper about really anything, having knowledge about why things are the way they are, or why certain beliefs came to be, or even why things are harmful. That can lead to pushback from others who do not wish to think kind of any further about the world around them. And the reason I chose this tweet for today's episode is because this is actually something I want to talk about. The theme of this episode is, it is that deep. I know we would love for things to be as simple and as straightforward as possible, but things we deal with today do not exist in a vacuum. Very often these things are predicated and come from other things, and it's okay to recognize that. In fact, I think it is important that we become comfortable with recognizing that things may be deeper than we think. Like, I do find it frustrating, the denial, or maybe not even denial, but the desire to not see things for deeper than what they are. If only because in doing this, you often are ignoring so much of the history behind these things. So much of what we engage with on a day-to-day basis do not exist in a vacuum. Systems, theories, and even interactions, a lot of these things do not exist in a vacuum. Just like icebergs, they are often far deeper than they appear. To deny yourself the ability to know more, to understand more, to even understand more, is to do yourself a disservice, in my honest opinion. And I absolutely understand that different people do different things. Not everyone is curious about those type of things, and not everyone sees why it might be necessary. I just think it is best to not close your mind to things being deeper than what they appear. Like, it's one thing to be willfully ignorant, which I would advise not to be, and it's a totally different thing to just not know something. Like, understanding why people do certain things might just be really important. I think it's important that we ask questions and that we are, at the very least, willing to know more. Because the more you know, the less people are really able to kind of try to pull one over on you. Now, does that mean that just because you have a desire to learn more or have a desire to know where something comes from, that you might automatically or actually agree with that thing now? Absolutely not. Like, it's possible to gain more information about something and that not change your position. I just think it is actually really important that we do our best to be informed and that we delve deeper and have a desire to understand or know more about why things happen the way that they happen. Like, why people may behave the way that they may behave. That's, of course, with the caveat of physical harm and danger you may be in. You do not need to know why someone is harming you for you to understand that it is wrong. Harm is harm, and knowing why they are treating you that way won't alleviate that. So, like in last week's episode, I believe I was talking about stories. A lot of people's stories didn't start when you met them, nor did they stop when you stopped being in contact with them. Their stories started years before they ever knew you. And the same can be said for all kinds of things. There are systems in place that have been in place for longer than we may have known about them, or even been made aware that they exist. Seeking to understand and being understanding is actually really, really important because, quite frankly, and I'm going to keep it a buck, a lot of society, especially in America, is banking on you not knowing or understanding what things are so that they can manipulate you. Sometimes it's in the marketing, sometimes it's in policy. They hope that you don't understand so that they can put things in motion that will get you to agree to things that will make your life harder. It's very important to be informed so that, like, even when it comes to propaganda and whatnot, the more you know, the least likely you are to fall for propaganda. And that's what it's especially important for. Like, it's especially important now. Sometimes people will purposefully not tell you the entire story or tell you only a warped version of events and expect you to fall in line. Like I was talking about in the last episode, knowing multiple perspectives can help you have a more well-rounded idea of what's going on. They're banking on you not knowing so that they can say their side and have you believe whatever it is that they believe without actually getting the full picture. And things are really just that deep. I understand the desire for things to be simple. Like humans, we are both simple and complicated. Everyone at their core have a desire for safety, to be able to eat food and be married and just stuff like that. It's very simple and straightforward. A desire to exist and to exist comfortably. But also, people are very complicated. We do not exist in a vacuum. We are who we are, and we have not gotten where we have gotten without digging deeper and without seeking to understand more. We would not be where we are today if people in the past had not deemed it important to delve deeper. Because it is that deep. We want to believe so much of everything exists in a vacuum, but it doesn't. And I think that's just something we have to accept. Like, as a human person, life as a human person does not exist in a vacuum. There are things that we've done, feelings we've felt, that have existed in the human species for years before we have ever existed. And we want to believe that none of those or none of that played a role in how things have come to be now. Back in episode 3, where I was kind of talking about how we are like a mosaic of all the people we've ever loved, all the people who've ever meant something to who we were, even for a moment. So things like that play a part here as well. So like you being raised a certain way might be why you believe a certain thing. You growing up in a specific culture might be why you value certain things over the other. That's kind of like the delving deeper. Like, why do I believe what do I believe? Why do I like what I like? I think it's important to like not only delve deeper into things that we are consuming, but we also should delve deeper into like even our own things. So our own reasonings for our own values and our own desires. I think it is important to just understand why we like what we like. Why do what do you do? Are you influenced by any of these systems? I mean, you might be, but that doesn't automatically make it a bad thing. Irregardless, it is very important to dive into and to understand what it is that a lot of things kind of come from, because it is that deep. And so my closeout post comes from Tumblr user, some cunt took my URL. So this Tumblr user said, open quote, there is a tendency with history, I think, because we're so far removed from it, to kind of forget that all of the people were people. A child 10,000 years ago left a handprint on the wall. They were finger painting. A Viking climbs up a rock just to carve the words, "This is very high, 10 feet off the ground." Somebody, centuries, millennia ago, burned their dinner so thoroughly that they buried the ruined pot in the backyard rather than attempt to clean it. Shakespeare got drunk and wrote dick jokes. Tutankhamun was a little boy who liked ducks more than anything. A Roman carves his name into a monument in another country saying, "I was here." A prisoner, centuries ago in the Tower of London, scratches lines into the wall as a tally marking the days. A medieval monk scrawls in the margins bemoaning the boredom of his work. Every human being across history has said, I was here, I lived, I loved, I made something, I laughed, I cried. Please do not forget me. End quote. And so I thought that was really, really powerful. And like so much of our existence is both new and also not in the same instance. We are new to the feelings that we have, maybe personally, but honestly, we are not new to these feelings at all. And like, we are also not alone. We only know as much as we know because people chose to delve deeper to be able to recognize and see that pattern and understand. And I thought that post was kind of beautiful because it encapsulates that like people have been people for a very long time. And like a lot of things that date far back before a lot of us even knew to look. And so like I thought that was just really cool. But yeah, you tell me what you think of this episode in the comments below. And that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.